Hello, and welcome to this EXTOL Business Integration video podcast. This is your host, Jim O'Leary with EXTOL International. If you're listening to this podcast, the chances are good that your company is using Electronic Data Interchange, or EDI, to automate the exchange of business data between your internal systems and those of your customers, vendors, and other external partners. Or if you're not yet using EDI, it's likely that you're thinking about it. In either case, my goal for this podcast is to convince you to look beyond EDI. And no, I'm not suggesting that you get rid of it. The decision to use or not use EDI is really made at the value chain level. So if your partners are using it, your company probably needs to use it too. What beyond EDI means is extending the benefits of business automation to cases that are not traditionally viewed as EDI related, and thinking strategically about automation investments in your business to maximize the return on those investments. This material is aimed primarily at companies that are in the early stages of evaluating technology for EDI or other business automation needs. But I think you'll also find it useful if you're simply taking stock of your business automation capabilities or considering the merits of augmenting or replacing existing technology. Okay, let's move forward and take a look at the key issues we'll be covering during the remainder of this podcast. Here are the three key issues we'll be examining. First, what are the key benefits of business automation, and what are the results that, when achieved, deliver those benefits? Second, what opportunities exist beyond EDI to automate business? Answering this question is difficult because the possibilities are uncountable, but we'll focus on a half dozen examples as a way to introduce some important principles. And third, how can you tell whether a given automation solution is right for your business? We'll cover three common sense steps that you can take to avoid dead-end decisions. Okay, let's begin with the key issue that every company starts out with when considering investments in business automation. Where can we expect to realize benefits, and which business automation outcomes contribute to them? I'd like to approach this question by posing an EDI thought experiment. So, with apologies to John Lennon, imagine there's no EDI. Imagine that your company was forced to operate without EDI from now on, and that all of the things that EDI currently does in your business had to be done in other ways. Well, you might say, we could simply send and receive XML documents or flat files or even spreadsheets to integrate with our partners. And that's true, but it also overlooks what EDI has become. What defines EDI isn't really the document standards used to encode the transactions that you exchange with your partners, although that's part of it. EDI is really about automating interactions between your company and your trading partners, including the communications in the middle and the integration that goes on behind your firewall. So going back to our thought experiment, if you had to do without automation of any kind in all of the areas where you currently use EDI or EDI-like automation, what would that do to your business? Well, for starters, all of your automated interactions with customers, suppliers, and other partners, like sending and receiving orders and invoices, would have to be processed through manual interactions with your ERP, accounting system, warehouse management system, and other enterprise applications and data. Internal documents would have to be explicitly converted into formats that each of your trading partners accept, and vice versa. You would also have to send and receive transactions explicitly and manually match transactions and responses to verify successful receipt. You'd have to verify the identity of connected partners manually and encrypt sensitive business data explicitly. And with all of that manual processing, the chances are slim that it would be done correctly. Many orders would contain transcription errors, miss required information, or otherwise fail to meet the service level agreements that you've negotiated with your partners. And you'd almost certainly have to hire additional people to do all of this additional work. If your company were large enough, you'd be facing an impossible situation because no matter how many people you hired, you wouldn't be able to keep up with the transaction volume. Well, by now you probably get the point of this thought experiment. EDI is viewed by many as a cost of doing business, sometimes even a necessary evil, because so many companies are required by their partners to use it. But if you consider what life would be like without EDI, especially in a growing business, important benefits like processing efficiency, more accurate outcomes, and reduced operating costs would be hard to give up. And in a typical business, the reach of those benefits is quite broad. In addition to the cross-industry business processes and transactions listed at the top of this slide, EDI technology can be used to automate industry-specific transactions and processes in healthcare, manufacturing, transportation, distribution, retail, insurance, and other businesses. Okay, you must be saying to yourself at this point, I thought this podcast was entitled Beyond EDI. Fair enough. EDI is one of many examples of technology for business automation, the kind of automation services that modern EDI technology offers, automating multi-step processes, transforming data, connecting and interacting with applications, data services, external partners, and other resources, can be applied to many non-EDI requirements, like automating connections between internal applications, synchronizing with cloud applications, and syndicating data for business intelligence applications. The benefits that result from these and other automation examples are identical. First, there's business efficiency. In our thought experiment, we noted how automation speeds processing, reduces processing costs, and enables faster response to partners. Automation is also critically important to growing companies because it reduces the marginal cost of processing as volume increases. The next benefit is business reliability. Because automation produces consistent results, your business gets reliable outcomes, predictable service levels, and security where you need it. A less obvious benefit of automation is visibility of both business data and automated activities. For example, automating data delivery to business intelligence applications or external partners supports more accurate and timely business decisions. We'll cover some more examples of that later. Automation also makes it easier to manage your business processes by logging and monitoring status information and automatically notifying you of exceptions, so you can focus attention just on the cases that require human intervention. Business agility is the fourth benefits area. The agility term tends to be overused, but in this context it's appropriate. Businesses tend to become more agile as their ability to automate more kinds of processes and resource interactions increases. That's especially true if the same technology and skills can be applied to a wide range of automation needs, something we'll come back to in a few minutes. Agility is also a key automation benefit for IT departments, especially if your automation technology gives IT the ability to deliver results rapidly for a wide variety of business requirements, and if the automations that result avoid dependencies on platforms, proprietary vendor implementations, and resource locations. So there we have the 5 key benefits of business automation. Before we move on, let me note that the first 3 benefits, efficiency, reliability, and visibility, are pretty much inherent attributes of automation technology. With enough time and effort, just about any automation solution will deliver some improvement in all 3 areas. The last 2 areas, business agility and IT agility, are where the most important differences lie. Whether the solution you use for EDI automation also gives you the ability to integrate cloud applications or synchronize data stores is a business agility question, and how quickly you can deliver new automations or modify existing ones is an IT agility question. We'll look later at technology capabilities that support the automation outcomes and benefits we've just reviewed. But for now, let's get back to our agenda and look at our second key issue. Okay, I've alluded to all sorts of automation possibilities beyond EDI, so let's take a look at that as our second key issue. Conventionally, EDI and other business automation technology is classified according to the kinds of resources that they integrate. Business-to-business integration automates processes that interact with external trading partners. Traditional EDI is a subset of this category. Application integration automates processes that connect applications to each other. Sending order information from an ERP to a warehouse management system is an example of this category. Data integration automates processes that operate on files, databases, and other data resources. For example, triggering a target database update when changes occur in a source database. And cloud integration automates processes that interact with cloud-based applications and services. This includes integration with software-as-a-service applications and standalone cloud-based services, among other cases. These classifications exist because technology vendors initially targeted different kinds of solutions at each of the 4 automation areas shown here. So solutions for automating business-to-business and internal application-to-application processes evolve separately, for example. But as automation technology evolves, the boundaries that separate product categories are eroding. For example, an increasing number of business-to-business automations require direct connections with applications and data resources in order to meet strict response turnaround demands. Examples of this include product availability responses, benefit entitlement responses in healthcare, and load tender responses in transportation companies. And as B2B automation solutions acquired application and data integration capabilities, those same capabilities were adopted for purely internal automations, like application-to-application cases. This is part of what I meant earlier when I said that EDI technology has evolved beyond its originally conceived role. Now, the scope of business automation technology has taken another step recently by embracing cloud integration. It's not an original observation that B2B and cloud automation are similar in many ways. They both provide communication of multiple document types between internal and external endpoints. Both require the ability to communicate securely with synchronous and asynchronous connections. and both require the ability to integrate directly with data resources and applications. The convergence of all of these automation cases is called business integration. Business integration combines a single set of integration services and methods that supports business-to-business, application, data, and cloud automations. And the result of this convergence is the ability to automate virtually any kind of business process in a typical company, going beyond EDI. So let's survey some examples of business integration, starting with the familiar EDI model. EDI, of course, automates end-to-end data interchange between external trading partners, meaning customers, suppliers, and service providers, and enterprise applications and data. We've already covered the typical applications for EDI automation, which include order-to-cash and procure-to-pay processing. But I want to point out that the essential nature of EDI-style automation isn't changed if the applications and data aren't located behind your firewall, or if the data you send and receive doesn't conform to EDI standards. That takes us to our second example, which extends the traditional EDI model to include non-EDI data formats and also internet-based communication options like AS2 and web services. Typical applications are the same as for traditional EDI, but this model is important if, for example, you have a large customer that uses XML documents or web services, or maybe a smaller partner that can only handle spreadsheets or flat files. Having the flexibility to send and receive data using the formats and communication protocols required by each of your trading partners is the real point of this model. Our third business integration example is automation of interactions between best-of-breed applications. In other words, connecting applications from different vendors to implement business processes that span those application boundaries. Typical applications are bridge processes that pass data from an upstream source application to a downstream target application, like passing data from a sales forecasting application to an inventory planning application, or sending inventory data from a warehouse management system to a procurement system. Again, like EDI, the function of automation technology in this case is to orchestrate the connection, data transformation, and processing steps needed to coordinate related actions in source and target systems. Our fourth automation example is integration with cloud-based software as a service, or SaaS applications. This is a sort of cross between the B2B automation cases we covered earlier and the best-of-breed application case we just covered, because the focus is on application integration, but some or all of the endpoints lie outside your firewall. Cloud applications and services are especially useful for coordinating activities between geographically distributed actors. Electronic invoicing, Salesforce automation, and field service dispatching are examples of that idea. The purpose of automation in these cases is to synchronize data and actions between the cloud-based applications and your enterprise systems. Our fifth automation example brings us to data syndication applications, where data in various locations and formats needs to be extracted, transformed, merged, and delivered to internal and external destinations, which could be applications, data stores, or external systems. Forecasting, inventory planning, and other business analysis functions are common drivers for syndication. But syndication also serves operational functions like delivery of sales, inventory, or manufacturing status data to external partners. Automation may also occur on the receiving end, as data is acquired and merged into operational and business intelligence databases. Examples of this include integration of status data from contract manufacturers, shipment status data from carriers, and sales activity or inventory status data from supply chain partners. Our final example shows automation in response to a web service request. Web services can be used to expose both data and application services to respond with pricing, product availability, order status, and other information, or to process business transactions in near real time. The role of business automation in this case is to mediate communications between web service consumers, which could be external partners or internal application systems, and the underlying application or data resource providers. So, all of the examples we've just seen share a common automation purpose and deliver common benefits as well, despite clear differences in application domains and integration styles. But these examples share even more in common, as we'll see next. This table summarizes the core services that underlie our business automation examples. Business integration solutions that provide this full set of services can be used to implement all of the examples we just saw, and more, as long as the variations needed for each automation case are supported. Each of our examples included automation of multi-step processes, communication with trading partners, applications, data, and other resources, and transformation of document content between sources and targets. And although we didn't show it, automations also log activity data and emit notifications when exceptions occur, in support of the important visibility goal we discussed earlier. You might notice that in addition to the common services at the top of the table, there are case-specific services referenced at the bottom. This reflects the fact that different kinds of automations are invoked and activated in different ways. Mediation services are needed to bridge the gap between environment-independent processes and business environments with different connection, routing, and synchronization demands, among others. We'll talk more about the mediation patterns that organize these services coming up. My purpose in showing this table is to reinforce the point that what used to be multiple different categories of automation really can converge under a single set of services and methods. Okay, so we've established the idea that both EDI and other business automations beyond EDI can be implemented with a common approach. But there's a problem. The problem is simple. Even though the convergence of integration categories and technologies is well accepted by industry analysts and other experts, most available solutions still focus on specific automation cases, like EDI or web services, or specific aspects of automation, like process automation or event management. Companies that acquire such products must apply multiple technologies in order to completely address their automation needs. This poses a severe challenge, especially for companies with highly constrained IT budgets and staffs. Not only must they invest in and maintain multiple integration middleware products and tools, they must also invest in and maintain multiple skill sets in order to use the tools that come with each middleware product. So they end up with one team of people that understands how to do EDI, another that understands application integration tools, another that understands web services, and so on. For companies with a wide range of business automation requirements, this fragmentation problem multiplies the cost of business integration, not just initially, but over the entire lifecycle. The time to think about breaking out of this cycle, or if you're not yet trapped in it, avoiding it, is when you're about to replace an aging EDI system, facing a major ERP or other application upgrade, or planning to invest in new capabilities like cloud application integration. So let's move to our third and last key issue, which is all about that thought process. So if you believe that the benefits of business automation convergence are compelling, and if you want to avoid dead-end middleware choices that make you dependent on multiple vendors and automation strategies, what's the right process for identifying the integration solution that fits your needs best? Let me propose 3 common sense steps that will point you in the right direction regardless of which vendors and technologies you're evaluating. First, identify the kinds of business automation, or patterns, that your business needs. And if you want to avoid the fragmentation trap we just discussed, be sure to consider the cases that you might need in the future. Planning for future possibilities doesn't necessarily mean buying more than you need. A good solution will allow you to add new capabilities as your needs evolve. Second, decide how you want to deliver the integration your business needs. We saw earlier that a common set of services underlies just about all business automation cases, but that doesn't mean you can plug in a solution off the shelf. In every business, the mix of business processes, documents, applications, partners, and other factors is unique. So determining how you want to deliver automations that fit your business needs is an essential decision. Only after you've completed the first 2 steps will you be ready to take the final step of choosing a solution that's right for your business, because the patterns and delivery approach you settle on in the first 2 steps will become important criteria in your selection process. Okay, so let's go back to the first step in our process, identifying the patterns that reflect the automation cases you need or will need in your business. In order to understand business integration patterns, we need to explore the concept of mediations a bit further. Understanding mediations makes it easier to categorize your automation requirements and also to map those requirements to the business integration capabilities you need. So let's take a look at that. Every business automation case can be implemented using one or more connected business processes, as depicted by the orange gears in this diagram. In many cases, a single process is all that's needed. For example, a request sent to a web service provider usually requires just one automated process to retrieve or put data, or to invoke an underlying application or business process. But processing a sales order, for example, might require a chain of processes to validate, transform, and post the order to an ERP system, create and send an invoice to your customer, pass order details to a warehouse management system or procurement application, and so on. These kinds of details are derived from business processes and policies, from your application capabilities and interfaces, and other business-dependent factors. Mediation services are needed in order to activate each business process under the right circumstances and in the right way. Mediation services include things like detecting connection requests, data arrival, and other events, analyzing and routing data, activating business processes and setting execution context, managing acknowledgments and responses, and other functions that are external to your business processes. Mediation services are critically important because they automate business process selection and activation, making lights-out processing possible. Some general-purpose integration solutions address the mediation requirement by invoking mediation services as part of each business process. But mixing mediation service requests and process automation service requests is a bad idea for 3 reasons. First, it makes the task of modeling every business process more complex and time-consuming. It also introduces dependencies on specific mediation approaches that make business processes less reusable. And finally, it ignores an important opportunity to simplify integration by identifying common collections of mediation services and using patterns to manage and configure them. Okay, now that we understand what mediations are, let's take a look at some common mediation patterns. This diagram shows the mediation patterns that are most commonly used for business automation. Each of these patterns represents a collection of mediation services shown around the periphery that can be configured to suit the requirements of a specific business automation case. In the center, we see that the standard services that implement business processes, including process automation, data transformation, and resource communication, are shared across all of the mediation patterns. Separating mediation services from process automation services means that if you can create a business process for an inbound EDI case, for example, you know most of what you need to create a business process for an on-demand web service case. So this separation not only gives you a simpler way to implement a wide variety of business automation cases, it also avoids the balkanization of projects and skills that we talked about earlier, making business integration more manageable and cost-effective. So getting back to our key issue, how you can determine whether an automation solution fits your needs. Understanding mediations is important for 2 reasons. First, mediations are a tool for categorizing the automation cases your business requires. Once you've identified the mediation patterns you need, you can then filter available solutions based on that support criterion. And second, the separation of mediations from business processes is an important consideration in the second step of your selection process, which is deciding how you want to deliver the business integration you need. As I commented earlier, business integration isn't something you can buy pre-made off the shelf, because no solution provider can anticipate every nuance of your business processes and policies, much less the unique mix of applications, data, services, partner interfaces, and cloud applications that you use in your business. So once you've determined the business automation cases you need, the next step is to decide how you want to deliver them. A useful place to start is with the classic build versus buy question as depicted in this chart. The easiest delivery option by far is outsourcing build and maintain activities to a third party, as shown in the lower right-hand corner. A qualified professional services partner can work with you to analyze your requirements and deliver automation solutions that fit your needs precisely. This option can be the best choice for companies with limited IT resources or very tight delivery windows. With a build approach, your IT organization uses tools and middleware to create and maintain business integration applications directly. The effort required to do this can literally vary exponentially, depending on which of the options on the curve that you decide to use. Although many companies still employ programming for business integration, it is by far the most expensive option because of its complexity, skill requirements, relatively low productivity, and poor maintainability. Scripting can reduce the time and complexity problems somewhat, but it's still among the most expensive and least maintainable options. So we'll focus on the options that appear lower on the curve: generate, reuse, configure, and model, which offer superior productivity and lower lifecycle costs. These advantages result from the use of integration models that limit and guide design time choices based on the automation and mediation services provided by a companion middleware product. Let's look at an example of such a model next. This block diagram depicts a simplified model for general-purpose business integration. You can see that it consists of objects that represent mediation services on the left and process automation services on the right. Each of the business automation examples we saw earlier can be built and maintained using a design tool that combines and configures the services represented in this model. Even though you can't see integration models, they're reflected in the services provided by integration middleware and in the way companion design tools support build and maintain activities. So although a model doesn't reveal whether a solution is easy to use, for example, it can reveal limitations that might be important to you. If a model doesn't include a database monitor object type, for example, it's unlikely that the solution that's based on it fully supports change data capture. Now let's get back to the subject of build and maintain options by looking at how this kind of model can be used to deliver business automations, using the 4 model-driven options we saw in the previous chart: generate, reuse, configure, and model. This diagram shows a typical sequence of lifecycle activities for business integration. The cycle of activities in the middle occurs in both the build and maintain stages. Each of the activities in the cycle focuses on producing one or more of the object types that appeared in the integration model diagram on the slide we just saw. The key at the upper right shows the options that are available for producing each kind of deliverable. The color coding reveals one of the key advantages of model-driven delivery. Most of the objects you need in order to build or maintain a business automation can be generated or configured, and the remainder can be modeled. In fact, many business processes and data transformations can also be generated with the right design automation strategy. It's important to note that this diagram depicts what's possible with a model-driven solution, not what every solution actually offers. So in the same way that understanding the integration model that's supported by a middleware solution can reveal limitations in its mediation and process automation services, understanding the degree to which powerful options like object generation are supported by a design tool can reveal a lot about how easy it is to use and how quickly you can deliver working results. Okay, let's return to our key issue now, and the third and final step in choosing the right integration solution. Once you've identified the business integration patterns your company requires and decided how you want to deliver business integration applications in your company, you've covered the 2 most important criteria for evaluating solution options. Now, I don't want to trivialize what is a very important decision for your business by suggesting that those 2 criteria are sufficient. It's clear that there are other factors to consider, like licensing cost and terms, platform and application interface support, technical support reputation, relevant industry experience, and services for hosting, implementation, and management, just to name some of the more important ones. But if the 2 criteria we covered today are not satisfied, pattern support and delivery preference, none of the others matter. So for the last few minutes of this webcast, let me start you on your way with step 3 of the process by giving you a quick overview of EXTOL International and our industry-leading integration technology. EXTOL is a privately held independent software vendor headquartered in the U.S. Since 1991, we've provided middleware, tools, and services to over 800 companies. Our customers use our technology to integrate their enterprise applications and data internally and with external partners, applications, and services. EXTOL is known primarily for 2 things: our best-in-class customer support, staffed by EXTOL employees and located adjacent to the product development team in our U.S. headquarters, and design time automation, a technology strategy that delivers robust integration applications faster, easier, and with lower lifecycle costs. Our flagship product, EXTOL Business Integrator, or EDI, is a general-purpose integration broker that supports business-to-business, application, data, and cloud integration. It runs on Microsoft Windows, IBM System I, and multiple Linux distributions. EDI includes all of the services you need for business integration, including mediation services, process automation, any-to-any data transformation, internal and external resource integration, business activity monitoring, and system management. And it supports all of the automation cases and mediation patterns we reviewed earlier, including EDI, web services, change data capture, message-driven, and application-driven mediations. EDI can be licensed as a single comprehensive integration solution or as one or more complementary data integration options for projects that focus on EDI, XML database, flat file, or spreadsheet integration requirements. The design time companion to EDI, EXTOL Integration Studio, is a graphical, model-driven, full lifecycle tool for building, testing, and maintaining business integration applications. This map of EXTOL Integration Studio tools to integration lifecycle activities shows just some of the ways our design time automation technology helps customers accelerate delivery of business integration results. The tools include the Project Builder and Organizer for generation and management of configured base integration patterns, generators for source and target document schemas for EDI, XML, databases, flat files, spreadsheets, and interfaces to enterprise applications like SAP ERP and Oracle E-Business Suite. Smart Mapping, a transformation rule generator that employs advanced pattern matching and artificial intelligence methods. Automated migration of mapping rules when changes occur to source or target document contents, structure, and even syntax. Configuration of adapters to file systems, databases, web services, FTP, AS2, and other resources. Modeling and generation of business processes and tasks. Generation of monitors for file system and database events. Web service wizards for generation of service mediation objects. EDI wizards for generation of EDI mediation objects and partner endpoints. Configuration of application events and schedules. Process monitoring and auditing based on automatically generated log data. And automated project packaging and deployment. All of the design time deliverables produced by these tools are maintained in your local repository. And additional community mapping support based on shared mapping patterns is provided by our cloud-based integration pattern repository coming this spring. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in today's presentation. We started with a thought experiment that revealed the true value of not just EDI, but all forms of business automation. And we identified the business automation outcomes that deliver those benefits. We reviewed some of the business automation opportunities beyond EDI that can extend and amplify the overall benefits your company can realize from using business integration technology. We talked about the core business integration services, process automation, resource communication, data transformation, activity monitoring, and mediation services that underlie all business integration patterns, and the middleware and tool fragmentation problem that has encumbered too many businesses with complex, redundant technology, multiple skill set requirements, and inflated integration lifecycle costs. And we covered the two most important evaluation criteria for business integration solutions, mediation pattern coverage and support for your preferred integration delivery approach. I hope that you find this material useful to your own business integration evaluation. If you have questions about anything I've covered today, or want to learn more about how EXTOL can help you to save time and reduce cost with your next integration project, contact us by phone or email to schedule a live demonstration or an in-depth discussion of your integration project requirements. Or visit our website for detailed product information and additional podcasts, webinars, and product demonstrations. And finally, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to listen in today. We look forward to hearing your comments and questions.